I am chairing the first section today with our working group shoutouts. I think I know most people, but I'm Jim. I work as a research software engineer at the Anna Turing Institute, and on the Turing Way, um, I'm on the steering committee, and I'm also chair of the infrastructure working group, and very, very passionate about open source. Also cycling, photography, knitting, um, films. So as always, the code of conduct applies to everything we do. Please read through that if you haven't. Most importantly, if there's anything you see that you think is unacceptable or makes you uncomfortable, you can report it. You can report it to the email address here. You can also directly report to either Alvika or Ariel or Anne, which might be useful if you're worried about who your report's going to, if you want to report to a specific person. Uh, for housekeeping, we have our shared notes, so please go there and check in and help collaboratively take notes about the discussion. We will record the call and publish it later. If oh, I think we've got some sound from the room on music. If you would prefer to not have your appearance or voice recorded, then you can mute your microphone and switch off your camera. We may use breakout rooms for discussion. I think we might not do that today, but if you would prefer to join discussions using text, then you can absolutely do that. And so we ask everyone to prepend their name in Zoom with an S or W, S for spoken. So if you're happy to talk using a microphone in the breakout room, and W for written if you prefer to um, interact with text. And closed captions should be enabled, and you should be able to, actually can't say it myself, but there should be a button to enable those. If that doesn't seem to be working, okay, I've just seen that seems to have been activated now. Um, any problems with any of that, please ask in the chat. So the agenda for today, the opening and welcome, which is what we're doing now. So we might finish that a bit early, which would be nice. Um, we're going to go through, as we usually do, each of the um, working groups. Oh, actually, no, sorry. Um, Maintenance level government report outs. Then, oh, sorry, I've gotten confused. That is the report outs from working groups, isn't it? Yes, working groups and everything at that level. Um, so I think we've got quite a few to go through today. So that will be about 2 minutes for each of those, roughly. So I don't want to cut people off, but we can try and uh, make sure we're concise. That would help. And then we're going to move on to the main part. So we're going to be having a bit of a fireside chat with steering committee people, talking about how the governance and structure of the steering committee is developing, and some, I believe, exciting announcements. And then we'll go into our open discussion and Q&A. So, moving on, working and delivery group updates. First up, I think, is the infrastructure group, and Danny has very kindly volunteered to go through these updates.
Hello, testing, testing. Can you hear me? Fantastic. Um, Great. This is a bit of slide karaoke. I think Jim made these, but I will go through them. Successes so far. We have better behavior of redirects. Yeah, we have some fun redirects now, such as news.theturingway.org. So things like that we can control where they go to on our side. So like if, for example, we were to change to a different mailing list provider, then we have control over where that redirects people to. So we won't have broken links in the same way that we may have done otherwise. Um, Jim has done a lot of work on updating documentation for the DNS and redirects, which is super great stuff for other projects trying to do the type of things we're doing, or if folks who are not Jim try and change the way that that is working in the Turing way at the moment. It's really great that that is documented for future. New documentation for pathways, and I think there's an even more hot off the press update regarding pathways. Jim has been working to package that so that other folks who use JupyterBook will be able to use it more easily. So that is more, we're kind of giving back to the community in that way, which I think is awesome. And I think long term, it will also make it easier for us to maintain and use. Challenges perennially on there. We have time. We're a small group of fairly time-stretched individuals, always keen to recruit more people into that group. So come along. I knew very little about this stuff when I joined this group. There is a very, hopefully, we try and make it so there's a very low bar to get involved in this stuff. If you're interested and you have some time, we're super happy to help ramp people up. Um, Lack of a formal repo management rules causing confusion. So here, I think this is talking about what what counts as a GitHub issue and what is a discussion. I think previously we've used issues as a kind of catch-all for all conversations, and there's a an argument that we should start using issues for things that have a plausible solution and move more kind of broad discussions into the discussions functionality that GitHub provides. But I think that's an ongoing kind of working out how we want to use those features. Celebrating, adopting all contributors from Rachel Strickland's SSI CW Hack Day project. I don't know much about that one. Jim, do you want to say a quick word on that one?
Yeah, so it was a Hack Day project at the collaborations workshop. It essentially merges the all contributors tables from many repositories in an organization, puts them into one. I think we're quite close to having that finished, so hopefully we can have nice all contributors for all of the activity across the Turing way, and also other people should be able to take that and use it in their own orgs.
Awesome. And I guess maybe a bit of longer term context for that. So I've lost track slightly, but let's say about a year ago, we just had a single mono repo where all the Turing way things were. Since then, we've split out into we now have a Turing way GitHub organization with lots of repos below that. And that's great in many ways, but it does present a few new challenges, like how do we collate our list of contributors across all of those different sub projects? That sounds like it's a great way to do that. That's cool. There's also been lots of progress towards creating an image gallery, which is something that has been on definitely my wish list for years. It wasn't particularly easy to do with the previous version of JupyterBook. I know that there's a lot of progress made to that in the made towards that in the recent book dash, and I'm really excited to see where that goes.
Okay, I think I
Um,
might have to cut you off there, Danny, just so we get to the
Great.
other ones.
Thanks,
I think
Jim.
that was the only reason. So the next group is accessibility. I've got both Liz and Anne down.
Hello.
Access.
So we are our successes this time is has to do with we're always trying to get new people involved. and make it easy to participate. So we have changed our monthly meeting time. It used to be during commute time for folks in the UK. We have kind of reached out to people who have contributed to accessibility projects in the past and kind of to touch base with them about some of the changes of the Turing Way and asking them about their interest in continuing uh, to work with us and if they have ideas for projects. We have some kind of ongoing challenges that we are losing the full-time community management support, which means that volunteer time is going to be more important until we start to raise funds. And having kind of a volunteer-led group, it's a little bit hard to sometimes predict what can get done in what kind of time frame. Um, Things that we are celebrating. We are joining the community management working group so that we can kind of make contributions to ensuring the accessibility of different events and programs and aspects of the Turing Lake book. Um, and as far as our call to action, we are always looking for support and especially funding. I have ideas for content myself, and I'd also like to find opportunities to pay other people from marginalized groups to make some more contributions to a future guide that would help us to reduce barriers to people joining and participating. And that's our update for this period.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Liz and Anne. The next week is translation and localization. Batul, do you want to take us through that?
Oh, thank you, Jim. I've a bit lost my voice this morning and have a sinus issue, so do let me know if you don't understand my pronunciation or anything I say. So one of the things that I want to flag in the success, I'm very impressed with like how the progress of the Portuguese localization is going on. I wanted to give a shout to Hinata, who's actually leading this work along with many other wonderful translators. And they also join in our monthly call next Wednesday, if anyone would like to join and ask them a question. And thanks to them also and their feedback, we were able to improve and fix a few things in the infrastructure of the crowd in itself workflow, and that's sort of based on their feedback. Another shout out I just wanted to give also to Bak Chanju, who initiated the Korean translation in the book Dash. So now we have a new language sort of being added to Crowdin. In terms of challenges, since the Turing Way is expanding very, very quickly, and we are in the free quota of the open source project in Crowdin, it seems like we exceeded our quota multiple times. So Crowdin boast for some time last week, and I flagged it with the Crowdin help desk, and they were very happy sort of to increase our quota. So it's now fixed, but that's a risk that we are aware of not using an open source localization management system for the translation itself because it doesn't exist. Again, it's a risk we are aware of, and it's something we keep in mind. And we also have sort of backup for all the localization that we do. Hopefully, we won't sort of reach that stage. In terms of call of action, as I mentioned, our next localization onboarding is next week. Let me know if you would like to join. I flag it all the time in our channel in Slack. And you're very, very sort of welcome to come and ask any question that you have. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Batul. It sounds like some excellent progress with some new languages being added. That's really great. Next up is the Book Dash Planning Committee. I think Ariel isn't here. Neither is Emma. Does someone want to take over this, or I can read through what we've got? I think I'll do it. So in the successes, the recent book dash, which was sort of co-located part during the Hack Day at the SSI Collaborations Workshop, and part of mine the week afterwards, I believe, has run. I think that was a good success, good learning experience for how book dashes might run in the future. And the group is pursuing ways to continue finding some funding to help support the book dash activities. So yes, thanks to the planning committee this time around, which is Sarah, Patricia, Precious, Stephen, Liz, Ariel, Emma, Esther, Ale, Lele, Anne, Malvika, Carlos, and Kirsty. I attended. I enjoyed it as always. It was very good. Challenges, I think, not surprising. Book Dash costs some money, and it's nice to have that money available to support people to attend, and that's going to be a bit more difficult to find. So that's going to be something that might sort of rear its head in the future events. Um, um, I think as well, moving things to more remote um, ways of collaborating. We found that that presents some new accessibility challenges, particularly if people have limited infrastructure, sort of low bandwidth internet connections or unreliable electricity internet. That's a sort of new dimension to accessibility that we've got to keep in mind. And the call for action, the planning committee is starting to get organised for our November book dash. You can apply to join and get involved with that. Closing date is the 20th of June, which is soon. So if you're interested in helping, please get in touch. And Esther is very kindly puts in the chat form that you can apply. Next up, the Jupyter Hub DEI delivery group. Kirsty, do you want to take us through that?
I'm here. I'm here. Yes, delighted to. So I don't know if we've had slides about this delivery group before, but it's really great to be organized enough to suggest putting them in advance. So the Jupyter Hub community received funding to consider diversity, equity, and inclusion and pathways to support contributors for Jupyter Hub. Sarah, who's on the call, did a huge amount of work with running an outreachy cohort, and also sort of thought an awful lot about what new contributor experiences could be, and actually got to the conclusion that the problem was not for the new contributors. There was actually a lot of work that needed to be done at the leadership level for Jupyter Hub, and actually sort of coordinating, making sure that it was a project that was really a sort of safe space for new contributors to come in. And so we have been working with, so the Turing Way has been working with organizational mycology. One of the things that we did was we ran a leadership retreat held in Berkeley in California at the beginning of this month. And we have also, well, organizational mycology have conducted a lot of interviews, and they've circulated a draft of the Voices of Jupyter Hub report to everyone who was interviewed and also everyone who attended. So we are now looking at what we do with the conversations that we had and with the evidence that we have from all of those interviews, from that ethnographic work. Very excited that Ariel is going to sign a statement of work. So I feel like that was a very formal way of me adding this celebration. But she is going to be updating the Turing Way chapters on project design, community engagement, code review, and running inclusive events, so that they don't have to be repeated in the Jupyter Hub Team Compass. So the vision is that in the Jupyter Hub Team Compass, it will say, we run collaboration cafes here's what a collaboration cafe is, here's how we do it inclusively, here's more information. And so the team compass in Jupyter Hub is much sort of smaller and more accessible, more easy to read. But if anyone does want to know a little bit more, particularly the leaders, then they have this really super resource inside of the Turing Way. We found in terms of challenges that it's hard to add new, which by that I mean community and leadership focused tasks to people's existing responsibilities. That's a sort of a perpetual challenge in open source projects. And we also acknowledge that you can have a lot of difficult conversations when you're all together or synchronously connected. We did run it as a hybrid meeting, but making sure that we continue to have those tough conversations afterwards, now that everyone's sort of drifted back into their own time zones, that's a challenge. So if you have ever wondered about what contributing to Jupyter Hub could look like, please come and join a Jupyter Hub collaboration cafe. And if you want to refine and improve those existing chapters on remote and inclusive collaboration, please join us in a Turing Way collaboration cafe, because we're going to be working on all of those. And there's some links at the bottom for you to find out more.
Thanks so much. Exciting new links and collaborations. Very nice. The last update is Data Science Without Borders. Malvika or Precious, who would like to take us through that?
Jim, there is a slide which is skipped. Can you exit the full screen, and we can pass the mic to Anne and Lily for community management update, and then I'll give you the update from Data Science Without Borders.
Oh, okay.
Right before Kirsty's slide.
Yes. Okay, community management.
Thanks, Jim. I was hidden in the deck.
Yeah, I think I hit exit when I looked at no text. That was my fault.
Amazing. Okay, so this is also the first time that the Community Management Working Group has had a slide in this space. The Community Management Working Group, for context, for folks that are aware, is a space where a lot of this kind of vital community work that sustains different collective spaces that we have, etc., that's I think has been shouldered over the past years by the community manager and the research project manager. As that official support is now ending from the Turing, our goal is to really use this working group as a space to incubate, support for that kind of work with community leaders and folks that are interested in doing that kind of work too. So the successes are that we've been running a weekly co-working call to catch up and co-work. We've also started using GitHub project boards to work with folks across time zones and are starting to develop a schedule for operational ongoing tasks in the community. So think of things like weekly Slack updates, welcome messages, starting to facilitate community calls like the collaboration cafe, etc. But there are challenges that come with this. It takes time to onboard folks in a decentralized way. Originally, in those parentheses, it said a little bit more than 2 months more than we originally expected to be able to onboard folks, especially when you're doing it across time zones and people's busy schedules. Right now, we're in the process, Lele and I, of doing one-on-ones with all the members of the working group to develop this schedule together. And then we'll finding ways in which we can kind of find a balance between doing synchronous and asynchronous work. And we'll be looking to the other working groups and seeing how you all work through that too. We have, lots of celebrations. I feel like I could celebrate all these folks here all the time, many times over. But it's been great to see how people are kind of stepping into different community-related roles. And there's especially a lot of interest in collaborating with other working groups. So I know that there are folks in the working group that would like to do more like GitHub-related maintenance, where they're interested in like responding and tagging issues. And we're like, oh, maybe we could collaborate with the infrastructure working group on that. There are folks that are interested in facilitating community calls and are really interested in how they can ensure that those spaces are accessible. They're also wondering how they can direct people over to the localization and translation folks, folks who have that interest and expertise too. So very excited. If you want to join us, you can join the community management channel, the new one. There's also a community management working group planning channel as well that has GitHub Slack integrations, which means be prepared for many pings. Um, yeah, and check out our repository, slowly being populated by stuff. Thanks so much.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Anne. And uh, for real this time, data science without borders, Malvika or Precious, do you want to talk to us about your updates?
Awesome. I'll get started. I'll do the half and then I'll pass it to you, Precious. I'll talk about success and challenge and leave the nice things of celebration and call to action to Precious. Data Science Without Borders is one of the projects funded by Wellcome Trust. When we were drafting this proposal, we had the opportunity to bring in the Turing Way and Open Science Hat and design that within the project a role for community manager who can support this community to engage with the Turing Way beside other community management aspects. So Precious is our community manager in Data Science Without Borders. It's a community of 5 different organizations from say 5 countries in Africa. It's Africa-led project. So from the Turing Way perspective, one of the successes is that building on the infrastructure ideas that we have learned in the Turing Way, we could create their internal handbook on ways of working. The role of this ways of working is to make everything explicit so this multicultural team can work with each other without pretending to know what we are thinking. So very much the ethos of the Turing Way. Precious also worked with our Book Dash committee to involve our members from DSWB. There were a lot of challenges that we faced that I'll tell you in a bit. Then, of course, the Data Science Without Border pathway, which was created within the Turing Way book by curating chapters that this community needs. We have also cross-posted them within the internal handbook. So when people are reading this handbook, they can easily find these chapters. Some of our members are actually translating the DSWB pathway in French. And we also embedded some case studies in the Turing Way around how we created this pathway and how this idea can be taken on by other people. Challenges have very much been the technical and bandwidth. People are not very used to working on Zoom or they're not very used to working on GitHub. Sometimes internet is not sufficiently enough for us to engage them in real time. And we also have huge language barrier. We have half of our communities who are French speaker. In some of our meetings, we have live interpreter, but live interpreters are expensive and also busy people. We can't really just have them for all the meetings. So actually Precious is learning French. I don't know if that will solve the problem immediately, but hopefully someday. And then we are also working with Batul to engage our community on Crowdin to do French translation. Over to you, Precious.
Hello everyone. I would continue from celebrations. There same as successes. We have the handbook that is published. We had 7 members join for Book Dash, and then we had the pathway and the case study added to the community handbook. Thanks to me. I didn't write this, but yeah, thanks to me for being the main guide for DSWB's 10 Book Dash. Thank you so much, Jim, for helping to debug the pathway. Thank you, Sarah, for helping debug the Jupyter book. Thank you so much, Malvika, for guiding me. Thank you so much to Dennis to answer my questions when I wanted to understand how to do a cross-community collaboration, and the general Book Dash planning community having to do late revisions and just generally being amazing guidance, support, and their patience. Thank you so much. So yeah, call to action. We have a few chapters that have been drafted. Some of them have pull requests that are created. So if you have some time, please help us look through. And then please think about including DSWB in places related to open science and health equity. That's it from me.
Thanks so much, Precious and Malvika. Yeah, very nice to hear about these sort of new activities, new avenues for the book and how we're getting involved in other projects and making collaborations. That's really cool. So this is the end of my section. I'm going to hand over to Malvika now, who's going to chair us through talking about constitution level governance updates and our sort of mini fireside chat event.